Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Before the Tones Drop podcast. We have another exciting guest today, Chief Darryl Jones from the Pittsburgh Fire Department. Chief, thanks for taking time to sit down with us today.
No, thank you for your hospitality, guys. My pleasure.
You've been in Sioux City teaching high-rise incident command class all week,
Yes,
that's correct?
Incident Command at High-Rise Operations. Just finished that class up today. It was a great class, great group of students in the class, a lot of feedback. I think we had a lot of fun.
Awesome. What do you think of Sioux City so far? Where they put you up, first of all?
I really do enjoy this city. I really do. I could tell that we're close to the farm area because I can smell.
Smells like money.
That's the smell of money there, Chief.
Fertilizing everything.
Yep, smell of money.
It is. That's what they said. It's a smell of money. I
Yep.
kind of believe it. Too, it was. It's great. I'm staying at the Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I
So they
guess
took good
yeah.
care.
Newly refurbished.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful hotel, and everyone's been very hospitable, and I've enjoyed myself.
Good. Eating good food? Feeding
Oh,
all right?
definitely, because I've been eating at your firehouses for a couple of nights. So.
Yeah, you got one more tonight too.
Yeah, one more
We're gonna
tonight.
treat
I'm
you
looking
at
forward
threes.
to that one too.
You won't
Yes,
have a
sir.
bad meal at the firehouse. Born and raised in Pittsburgh?
Actually, a small town outside Pittsburgh called Aliquippa.
Okay.
If you are an NFL football fan, then Aliquippa, you've probably heard of Mike Ditka, Tony Dorsett, Ty Law, Darrell Rivas. Those are all from my little 5 square mile town.
Wow.
We put out that we have more NFL Hall of Famers out of Aliquippa High School than any other high school in the country.
That's pretty cool.
And since I didn't get any of that talent,
You became a
no
firefighter.
one ever confused me with an athlete. I have to throw water on fire for a living.
That sounds good. You big Pittsburgh sports fan? Steelers,
Yes, I am.
Penguins,
Yes.
Pirates?
Penguins, Pirates, Steelers. Yeah, it's sometimes painful to be a Pittsburgh sports fan.
Well, you
but
got like 3 Stanley Cups, 2 Super Bowls in like the last 20 years.
yeah, well, if you would have seen the beating the Steelers got from the Cardinals last
Oh
week.
man, that's a
Yeah,
tough one.
that's pretty embarrassing.
You would,
That's a tough
yeah,
one.
Cardinals aren't very good.
no. And then they play the Patriots tomorrow night, and I'm not so confident they're going to do very well against them either.
Yeah, they can't score a touchdown though.
Yeah, well,
Pittsburgh.
obviously we can't score enough of them either. So
Yeah.
Big hockey fan then, too?
no, I do follow it. I watch the game. I cheer for them, but I don't
No,
understand.
it's just
all
nuts.
the
I was gonna ask you Mario Lemieux or Yamir Yager as far as.
Oh, definitely Lemieux.
Yeah.
Lemieux. What about Lemieux or Crosby?
Because
Or Crosby, no, yeah,
still
Crosby.
invested in the
I don't
city.
like that Crosby guy.
And he was just a great player,
Mm-hmm.
and I love some of his moves that he had. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. So, where'd you go to high school? So you just told us where you went to high school. Now it's just outside of Pittsburgh, and then
Well,
graduated.
no, actually, I didn't graduate from Aliquippa High School.
Okay.
My parents got tired of me getting in fights and stuff, so they pulled me out of Aliquippa, and I graduated from a school that's no longer there anymore. It's Quickly Catholic High School, and it closed a few years back. So.
Okay.
Kind of town fading away a little bit, or
Well, it's a solid steel town. We had at one point in time the largest steel mill in the world. It was one of only 2 or 3 steel mills in the world where you can start off with a raw product like iron ore and coke and limestone and end up at the end with pipe and nails and wire.
Man.
The mill by itself took up several square miles.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Like Steel City.
You know where that iron ore comes from? So that's up my neck of the woods. So Mintac, largest iron ore taconite plant in the country. U.S. Steel owns that at one time. That's just Mountain Iron, Minnesota. So I'm from Virginia, Minnesota. Mountain Iron's just throwing throws away. So that iron ore get mined up there, railed down to Duluth. Mine there, turn in taconite pellets, load on rail down to Duluth, down to the shipping yards. Get load on the freighters and stuff, and on the Great Lakes and stuff, and
Yeah.
to the steel mills in Ohio and Pittsburgh and everything from there. So there you go.
man.
So it
Yep.
sounds
Right to your steel mill, and
Yeah,
Yep.
it was
ground up.
Jones and Lachlan Steel was the one there. I believe in their heyday they employed like close to 20,000 people
Wow.
or something like that.
Was it a tough town growing up in?
It was, but it was also good. It was
Sure.
it was different. It wasn't like rampant crime or anything like that. It was tough because you had to work hard.
The people were tough, right?
And the
Okay.
people were tough.
blue collar.
big blue.
Then when the steel mill crashed, and everything kind of went belly up from there. That's when things start
Sure.
really going downhill. And the town is trying to come back now. So we're looking like, 40 years in, and it's trying to bounce
I say,
back.
what time period was this?
The steel mills crashed probably mid-'80s, early '80s,
Okay.
82, 83.
And then you said you like to get in fights. Why-
Didn't say
you're
you like to get in fights.
Well,
you
you
said
got
you
in fights,
fought.
so you're like, I'll join the Marine Corps.
So
That's a
that
great
was
place.
now that wasn't planned.
How did that happen?
So it's a long story. Actually, I started off, I got out of high school, and I was supposed to go to the University of Pittsburgh. And I was working in the steel mill for the summer. And 18, I'm making money hand over fist. I had a nice, clean job, relatively safe job compared to the other ones in the mill, and I'm having a blast. And so I come home one day, and my dad's sitting there reading the paper, and he goes, "Shouldn't you be getting ready to go to school?" I said, "No, Dad, I don't think I'm going to go to school. I think I'm going to stay down in the mill." Because I had already picked out the black and gold Trans Am with the
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, 78 Trans Am.
yeah.
I'm ready to live life. And my dad's sitting there, he's reading the paper, and he never flinched, never said a word. I kept going. Next day, I get reassigned from my job in the mill to the labor gang. Now, guys, the labor gang was hard work. The labor gang is where they separated the weak from the strong after the boys went home. Okay? So I know my dad had something to do with this, and I'm going to show him I'm a man and I can handle it, and I don't care what he does. I'm getting my black Trans Am. I lasted 16 hours. 2 days. I come home. I said, I think I'm going to school. That paper never moved. So.
Did your dad work at? Was he in the?
Yeah, he was
working
a
in the mill?
foreman in the mill.
Yeah.
So he had a little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
of clout to
Made a
make
little
things
pull.
happen.
Yeah.
He's sitting there thinking, man, oh, he's got it all figured out.
Yeah,
Watch
yeah.
this. Watch
Yeah, he
this.
pulled the
Was-
plug on that.
Was that him wanting you to go to school because he didn't want you working in the mills?
Yes,
He
that
wanted
was
you to do
it.
something else.
Always
eh?
wanted me to do something else.
Yeah.
Then I went to school, and I was invited to leave.
Okay.
So I come home, and my parents was like, well, you better find something to do. You're not going to be here doing nothing. So the Marine Corps was the next move. I did a total of 8 years active in reserve in the Marine Corps. And when I got out, I ended up getting a job as a security guard at a nuclear power station, which was like one of the worst jobs ever. I would sit there and watch a section of fence where the alarm wasn't working. And I had a nightstick, a small little can of mace like you might keep on your keychain, a radio, and post orders, which was a 3-ring binder with a couple sheets of paper in it.
That's what they gave you?
That was what they gave me.
I had to use that as a shield.
So, yeah.
So my
I'll
job
whack you with
was
this.
to be the alarm. I'm supposed to scream in that radio before the terrorists kill me.
They're like,
Right.
okay, we know there's
They're
a problem
here,
over
they're
there
here.
now.
Yeah, and I'm thinking there's, and they knew that wherever somebody was posted out there, that's a dead zone. Get rid of him, we get access to the plant. So
Wow.
it didn't take much for me to figure out that I'm worth a little more than that. And the Aliquippa Fire Department was hiring, and I took the test and I got on with them.
What'd your I'm sorry.
No,
What'd
go
your parents have to say about you doing
My
the
dad
Marine
didn't
Corps?
say too much. My mom thought I was nuts.
Okay.
She really, well, first go to the Marine Corps, she thought I was
Yeah.
nuts. And then my dad, when I joined the fire department, she really thought I was crazy. So I come home from the Marine Corps, and I'm looking for a job, and I don't really have a civilian skill set,
Sure.
right? But I go get me a resume, and at the time, my dad had a print shop, and so I went down there and made some copies of my resume. There was a couple scrap pieces, and I just left them there. So he comes home. I'm staying with them at the time, and it's me, him, and my brother and my mother, and we're eating dinner. and he reaches in his shirt pocket and he pulls out part of my resume and throws it down on the table. He says, "Is this yours?" And I turn around and look at it. I go, "Yeah, that's mine." Who are you? You know, because what's this thing what did you do while you were in there? You know, and hey, we were infantry for a while, and I became a military policeman. And he said, I don't know you. So we had those father-son discussions all the time. And he was a great man, very smart, a great dad, and gave me a lot of good advice. But so after that, I joined the fire department. They really thought I was nuts. And, yeah.
Were they right?
Oh, I was always nuts. That goes with the territory.
Right.
I think
You gotta
part of
be a
that
little
was
bit,
their
right?
fault, right? So, I mean, you know, acorn don't fall too far away from the tree.
So anytime in the Marines and stuff, or steel, did the Trans Am ever happen?
No.
Never happened.
The closest I got was I had a 1987 Firebird,
Okay.
all black, but it was just a regular Firebird with a V6 engine, no no V8, no turbochargers, none of that stuff, because at that age, the insurance was astronomical.
Oh, yeah.
So I never did get that part. So
what
still on my bucket list.
Still on the bucket list, eh?
what drew you to the fire department? Was it just a ad in the paper, or
Yes. My dad knew I hated the job that I had, and he says, "Hey," he called me up one day and said, "There's a fire department is testing." I said, "Oh, great! I'll go down." So I signed up to take the test, and I had my veterans points and everything. And,
Sure.
so I got on, and I did not understand completely what it meant to be a firefighter. I still wanted to finish school. After going through the Marine Corps, I matured a lot. I needed to finish school. I was unfinished business in my mind. So I said, "Hey, I'll be a firefighter." They don't do nothing but sit around the station.
play
all
cards?
day,
Right.
right?
Play cards.
Play cards and
Yeah.
checkers. And while they're doing that, I could be studying. And every once in a while, I get the chance to drive the truck real fast. How cool is that?
How cool
Yeah,
is
that's
that?
right.
Huh?
So-
The coolest job I ever.
So yeah, I got on full time. I was on full time for 2 months. My first day as a full timer was August the 7th, 1987. On October the 10th, 1987, I responded to a structural fire with entrapment and lost 3 kids in that fire.
Wow.
And so that was the aha moment for me that, okay, look, here's a town, a poor town, that cannot afford to have a career fire department and yet cannot afford not to because of the fire load and things. And here they're paying me their very hard-earned money, and I'm not getting it done. Can't let that happen.
Wow.
So from that point forward, I kind of dedicated myself to training and education. The beautiful part about Aliquippa was I had a lab. No matter what I read or studied about the fire service, sooner or later I was going to get a chance to apply it.
Apply it, yeah.
And some of it was real, and some of it wasn't. You know, learned those lessons, but I did eventually complete my bachelor's degree, and then went on for my master's. And after I moved to the city of Pittsburgh, I completed my PhD in public safety, and my specialty is emergency management now. So my education and my reasons for doing what I do changed over time.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, initially I need a job. Okay, then I got to be good at this because people are dependent on me, and I've lost so many children in fires. You know, and so my reason for doing this changed to we got to stop these child deaths in fires, and the outcome with that, you know, a lot of guys, well, you mean you like fire prevention? Yeah, I do. And well, that's because you can't fight a fire. No, I can. I was on a 2-man engine crew.
Yeah, don't tell me about not
The
fighting
driver,
fire. Right?
I was the driver when I started. I had a captain. We didn't have hand radios. The 2 in, 2 out rule was if 2 of you go in, 2 of you better come out. I would get off the rig, charge my captain's hand line when he made the attack. I would find a water source, ladder the building, stretch my hand line, charge it, and then make an attack. And if you got your butt in the crack, you better figure it out, because there was no maydays. There was nothing like that. So, and as I tell everybody, it was not perfect. It was not right. I'm not going to justify it. I'm just saying that it was what it was. And so
Did what he had to do.
yeah, well, those are the cards we were dealt, and that's what we played. But I still believe that prevention is better than cure. So I have a soft spot for fire prevention and community risk reduction. And I do everything I can to try to make that happen. So I've worked with public education, smoke detector programs, anything that I can to try to bring down those numbers.
Yeah. So how busy was it with your first firefighter job?
We
every
were
day?
probably the busiest ones in the county. Like I said, we had a lot of fire load. We did not do EMS at that time.
Okay.
We did vehicle rescue and fire response, and we did a lot with a little bit of response.
Is that fire load is that indicative of I guess basically the time, because you saw that with Detroit, when the auto industry crashed
every
and stuff
city went through its
like
own.
those big cities where and at times where economic downturn, that you see a lot of layoffs and poverty and stuff, and it seems like that people leave their homes then and stuff, and a lot more abandoned structures or whatever. For some reason, that seems to fuel a lot more fires versus
Aliquippa was built by the steel mill, okay, and you were housed in Aliquippa according to your position in the mill. So your ethnicity or race or anything didn't have anything to do with it. If you was a laborer, you lived in one section of town. We called it Plan 11 Extension. It was also the section I grew up in. All the houses were 2.5-story wood frame balloon construction. And at the time that the houses were built, there was one outlet and one light socket in every room, 60 amp electric service.
Man.
Knob and tube.
Knob and tube, yeah.
If you were middle management, you lived downtown on Franklin Avenue. In that area, the houses were ordinary construction, somewhat bigger, somewhat better constructed. And if you were upper management, you lived in an area we call Plan 6, and the houses were ordinary construction and large, very large houses. As the mill gave up that control and people start buying their houses, that's like everybody else. You have pride in what you invest in. Mm-hmm. So they were remodeling these houses, but not changing the infrastructure. So we would have the carpeting on the floor, the paneling on the walls, everything would look beautiful. Then they would put in what I called the alphabet soup, right? You had the TV, the DVD, the CD, and the PC, all of it plugged into one outlet with 60 amp service and knob and tube wiring. And so that was part of it. Then there was other social factors, single mothers leaving children alone, even for a little while, curious kids get into trouble. Very little of it was, there was some there, arson, but it wasn't like that. Most of it was, and just general, what I call stupid human tricks, right?
Sure.
And we had the cooking fires and the cigarettes burning and stuff. It just, for some odd reason, was just hit us so hard. But I learned a lot in working that way. But like I said, it wasn't ideal. So now my focus is on taking care of my family, and still heavy focus on community risk reduction, and also training for fire people who want to get into the fire service, and those of us who are in the fire service to be successful at all levels. If you look at all the problems that we're facing now, cancer presumption, mental health, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and lack of funding is probably at the top of the list. Always that in there.
Right.
Retention
Yeah.
and recruitment. You know, a lot of the things that we can do to solve those problems requires good leadership, and there's no gizmo, gadget, doodad that's going to solve these problems for us. There's no app for that.
Right.
You know, we have to change hearts and minds and educate and take the hard way, the hard path on the high road to get it done, and that takes leadership.
Absolutely.
Are you guys, does Pittsburgh, do you see, and we got some more questions even about alopecia and stuff, but do you see the retention and the recruiting issues there that we're kind of seeing everywhere?
Not yet. I do see some of them. The younger group coming in, they don't want to work any overtime, which is very rare. You know,
That's the time to work overtime, right?
These guys, my guys would kill each other for overtime.
Yeah.
Want that money.
Yeah. But the younger guys, they want to do their 24 on,
Go spend
and they
time.
want their 72 off. So right now, I don't have a turnover rate. In the 17 years I've been there, I've had 3 people leave the job willingly. One guy, his wife hit the Powerball or something like that.
Sure.
He was like,
Peace.
I'm out. You know? And I'm like, hey,
Done.
take me with you. The second guy started his own business. He comes in to say goodbye, says, hey, thank you. This was a great opportunity, but I want to do my own thing. And the third guy just left back in April. He got hired with LA City Fire Department. And his wife's from LA, and they wanted to move back
okay.
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't have that turn. Now, other departments I know have 10-15% turnover rate
Man, how do you
every year.
How do you even?
So I think that's down the road for me. I can see it
Okay.
coming. But yeah.
But not right now. That's good. That's good.
Very
deal.
good.
Um,
yeah. Go ahead.
I got, well, yeah, it's because East Coast and stuff. So, and just, I mean, as far as firefighting goes and stuff, but are you guys, so smoothbore or fog nozzle kind of,
Is there
because the
the
East
great
Coast, I mean,
debate?
that's, East Coast
This
is kind
guy.
of,
You can already tell this guy, right?
smoothbore
He's like
stuff.
this
No,
guy.
I'm just curious, because we're Midwest area and stuff. Everybody's fog nozzle here. We like that. We
Me
like that steam
personally,
conversion. It's
I'm
a
all
smoothbore or
about
fog nozzle.
smooth bore.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Make a couple guys happy.
right about now, if I pulled up on a fire scene and they said, Chief, you got to mask up and stretch a line, we got some serious problems. Right? Serious problems. So I have 169 guys on duty right now. If they tell me that I got to stretch a line, we better be going to church, man. The stuff's getting ready to hit the fan or already has.
Yeah.
Smooth bores on our high-rise packs.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my guys, they like the adjustable flow fog nozzles. I try to give them what they want. There was a big push against the pistol grip on the nozzles. Hey, I'm not grabbing one of them. Whatever you guys want, that's
Sure.
what I'm gonna give you. So,
Yeah.
my personal taste is smooth bore, because in Aliquippa, when you're holding an 1 3/4 line by yourself, I'd rather wrestle a 60-pound, 50-pound anaconda than a 100-pound anaconda. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
So how long were you at the Aliquippa Fire Department?
I was there for 20 years, and 12 of those years I was chief.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you said 20 years and 12 you were chief?
Yeah, 12 of that 20 I was chief.
How big of a department was it?
I was one of 9 people.
So were you were so when you weren't chief, you were on the rig. You weren't an administration prevention role. That was all.
No, we didn't have that. We didn't have enough.
Yeah, you were
people
all
for
of it.
that. We were all
You did
of it.
everything. Yeah.
Right.
You did both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what brought you over to the Pittsburgh Fire Department?
So I was 20 years in at Aliquippa. I was getting a little tired. I had completed a lot of education and training by that time, and I was looking just for something different. And there's a small community outside Pittsburgh called Mount Lebanon. Very affluent community. Their chief had retired, so I applied for their chief's position. And it was an assessment process that I had to go through. And one of the assessors was the chief of the Pittsburgh Fire Department at that time. So once I finished that assessment, he comes up to me and he says, "Look, you did excellent on this assessment." He says, "But in my mind, you were number one." He says, "But there's no way they're going to hire you in Mount Lebanon." Just being real, right? Okay, but at least I know I did very well. He says, "I'm going to be looking for assistant chief. Keep your eyes open." So I was teaching a Fire Officer 1 class at one of the volunteer departments, and a kid had his laptop open, and he says, "Hey, Pittsburgh's looking for an assistant chief." So I walk over, and I look over his shoulder, and I read it, and I says, "Take a 15-minute break," and I pushed the guy out of the seat. I sat down at his laptop, filled out the application, and the rest is history. Now, every time I see him, he says, "You know you owe me for that job."
Right.
And if it's a bad day, I say, "Yeah, you're the one that I owe for this job." So, and that's how I ended up getting there. I started in July of 2007 as an assistant chief.
Okay.
And 2 months in, they made me the chief. So I went from a 9-man department to a 700-person department in 2 months' time.
My goodness.
Yeah. So, what are the responsibilities of the assistant chief position at Pittsburgh?
So I was the assistant chief in charge of risk reduction, which was perfect for me.
Okay.
So I was trying to reduce risk not only in the community, but also in the Bureau itself. And one of the things I noticed was we had a lot of firefighters off on injury. The injuries were ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders. The causes of the injuries was either getting on or getting off the rig. And so we attacked that and reduced the injuries substantially by that. And one of the things we did was education, showing everybody the 3-point method, stepping off the rig backwards. Some of the engineering we did, we made sure the rigs had all the ground lighting so that you can see if there's any uneven pavement or anything like that. And we shortened the rigs up by getting rid of the top-mounted pump. Because if I could stop you from having to climb up and down, then that's less chances of you getting
So you went to
Side
the side
mounted?
mount.
or-
side mounted.
Okay.
Yeah. And that shortened our rigs by about 3 feet, which is huge in our town. 'Cause
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
narrow streets,
yeah.
and I was looking at the rig over at Station 1. I like, this is an aircraft carrier.
Compared to
Right.
what you guys
Yeah,
got, eh?
that thing
yeah.
was huge, man.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
I brought
They
that thing.
And they only keep getting bigger, it seems like.
Yeah,
you
if
know.
I took that to Pittsburgh and said, "Hey guys, here's your new rig," excuse me, they'd probably beat me to death.
Sure. Yeah.
Make you get run over by it, but that's.
So, how'd you manage to spend that only 2 months in that position, and then go to the chief spot?
So the chief there was a new mayor in. The mayor who originally was there, he died in office. Mayor O'Connor, he developed cancer and it killed him in office. So a new mayor was put in. His name was Luke Ravenstall, and at the time he was like in his late 20s, maybe 28, 29. So he wanted the chief to be the director of the Department of Public Safety. So in Pittsburgh, there's the mayor, and then you have these different departments, and the Department of Public Safety included at that time police, fire, EMS, animal control, and the building department. So I'm sitting in my office, happy that I'm an assistant chief in the big city of Pittsburgh. The fire chief comes in. He says, "I need to see you for a second." I said, "Sure." So I grabbed my little steno pad because I can run the world with some steno pads and Post-it notes. That's the way I roll. So I got my steno pad, I got my pen. I'm thinking he's going to give me another assignment. I'm going to knock it out the park because that's what I do. No problem. So I go to his office. He's waiting on me at the door. I'm like, this never happened before. So I go into the office. He closes the door behind me. I'm like, oh, man. I messed up. And I'm thinking, what did I do? I'm just going through, I'm sweating bullets, right? And I'm thinking, I didn't cuss anybody out. I didn't, no road rage.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Running the playback.
I'm just really, and he starts off the meeting. I'm sitting at his desk, and he's behind the desk, and he goes, "You're going to think this is the craziest meeting you ever had. So I relaxed a little bit after that. And I said, well, you haven't seen some of my church meetings, but let's see what you got. Right? And he starts off and he goes, the mayor, as you know, I'm doing 2 jobs, public safety director and fire chief. I said, yeah. He says, the mayor wants me to be full-time public safety director. I said, okay. He says, I needed to pick a fire chief. So I had 2 other assistant chiefs. I was one of 3. They come up through the system. One had been there over 30 years.
So they've been with the department the whole time.
Yeah, they've been there the whole time. And I'm thinking, he gonna take it. I'm like, oh, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm their number 1 cheerleader. I got their back. Whatever they need, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do. And he looks at me. He goes, I told the mayor it was you. And I stared at him just like I'm staring at you. Then I start laughing. And something in the little voice says, quit laughing in your boss's face. So I stopped
He's not
laughing.
laughing.
And I looked at him. I said, what about? He said, nope, it's you.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, you know what? If I'm going to mess this up, I'm going to mess it up from that side of the desk.
There you go.
So I said, okay, I'm your guy. He says, okay, the mayor's going to announce this in a couple of days. You keep this to yourself. Okay. I get up. I walk out the office. The other 2 assistant chiefs are waiting on me
Oh,
because they figure I got my butt chewed because the door was closed.
Yeah.
You know? And they said, boy, turn around. Let's see if you got any butt left after that chewing. I said, no, it was ugly, guys. And I just left.
Yeah. You don't want to know about it.
I
you
go
don't
into my office. I go to my humidor. I grab a cigar.
Yeah, give yourself
There
a
it is.
cigar,
Yeah,
Chief.
so
Attaboy.
I get the cigar. It's I'm office on the 5th floor. I can't even wait for the elevator. I got to get the cigar.
Hell yeah.
So I dash down the steps, right? I run outside the back door. I light this cigar up. If the cops would have come walking by, they would have thought I had a blunt. Right? Just one long
as he hit the
drag
door.
on this cigar. The ash was about this long on that thing, you know. So I'm thinking, what did I just do? You know, I'm still sweating. I'm like, I'm scared to death.
Oh, man.
So I call up my girlfriend, my wife. She's my girlfriend at the time. And I had dragged her from Aliquippa up there with me.
yeah.
So I call her up because I'm this guy.
Yeah.
And she says, hello. I said, hi. She says, what's up? I said, I lost my job. Dead air for like 30 seconds. Just dead air, right? And next thing she says, are you okay? And I'm like,
Whoa.
I have to keep this one.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
If I okay, because I'm waiting on you. All that. And I said, yeah, I'm fine. And she goes, what happened? I said, I got promoted. Dead air for like 15 seconds. And she goes, promoted to what? I said, fire chief. Dead air for like 10 seconds. She goes, you're an asshole. And are you going to beep that out?
No,
we keep it. We'll keep it. Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And so that's
Perfect response.
that was
right?
it,
right.
though. So I've been there going on 17 years now, and
Wow.
I'm the second longest tenured fire chief in the country behind Chief Hood in San Antonio as far as metropolitan chiefs go.
Yep.
I think he has me beat by a month or so, and at least that's what he tells me, and he never let me forget about it. That I'm junior to him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But the average life expectancy or tenure of a metro chief is 5 years.
Okay.
And so I guess I'm on borrowed time.
Yeah, must be doing
Just-
something right.
Must be
Yeah,
doing
just
something right, huh?
praying. That's what I'm doing.
Can you describe what a metropolitan chief would?
Yeah, so a metro department is a segment of the International Association of Fire Chiefs. They're called the Metropolitan Chiefs. And I believe you have to have 250 uniformed personnel to be considered as a metro chief. I believe that's what it stands.
You said Pittsburgh about 780.
About 700.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many positions with the Pittsburgh Fire Department are promoted externally? You know, you said you
Just
applied
me.
for an assistant chief.
Just me and assistant chiefs.
Okay.
And I have 2 assistant chiefs now. All three of us are external.
What are their responsibilities?
One is operations, and the other one is community risk reduction.
Okay.
And so under community risk reduction, the one that I used to have is hazardous materials, code enforcement, fire investigation unit, and ops has station facilities are under the risk reduction, and ops it takes care of the training and the rigs and things like that.
And do they have any 8 to 5 personnel that work with them, captains or?
We have I have a battalion chief in charge of hazardous materials. He's not administrative. He's in the union, but his schedule is 8 to 5. I have a communications captain, the same thing, and the other one that's administrative in my office. That's as a community risk reduction specialist. Her name's Lisa Epps. She's the only African American female firefighter I have. And I also have he's not in the union. He does wear a uniform, but we call him a civilian deputy fire marshal who does the code enforcement.
Okay.
So by fact that I am the fire chief, I'm also the fire marshal, and so I'm the code official. But this guy is my deputy.
Gotcha.
So I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The whole time we were taking the class, you can tell your vast knowledge of code, building code, all that, and your passion for it too.
Yeah,
I could tell that.
Well, I try to because
it
gets us killed. We were talking about building construction and stuff in class, and I was telling people how I don't like podium construction. And there's been pretty examples. We showed was at Iowa City.
Yeah.
You know, from a 2019, I guess.
Yeah.
Downtown.
I think
they
went
had
up
that
quick.
two floors were type 1 construction and then wood frame on top of it. Well, that type 1 is considered to be the podium.
Yeah.
And then you throw the wood frame
wood
on
up
top
of that.
Burns to beat the band when it's under construction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many battalion chiefs?
I have a total of 16. So I have 4 battalions and I have 4 crews or 4 lines.
Gotcha.
So I have those 16. Actually, I have 18. I have 1 battalion chief that takes care of the training academy and a battalion chief that's in charge of hazardous materials.
And you said it's 24 on, 72 off.
24 on, 72 off.
4 platoons, right?
Yeah, 4 platoons.
And you guys run the EMS for Pittsburgh as well?
We do not.
Okay.
We do run EMS, but EMS is a separate service in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, okay? Because most people don't know where EMS started. Everybody thinks it started with Gage and DeSoto on Squad 51,
Right.
And that's not true. Miami is trying to make an argument that it started with them. I disagree. EMS, as we know it today, started in the city of Pittsburgh. And you can Google Freedom House in Pittsburgh and see the whole history.
Okay.
In addition to that, there is a book out there called American Sirens, and it tells the story. I highly suggest you read it. Let me give you the short version.
Okay.
There were 2 doctors in the late 60s, 66, 67, arguing about CPR. The one doctor was saying, hey, CPR saved lives. Only a doctor can save a life, so only a doctor should be allowed to do CPR. And the second doctor was like, no, I could teach anybody to do CPR. And so they had this bet. Well, the doctor who said he could teach anybody was connected politically and socially and economically. And so he went to Freedom House. Freedom House was a program in the Hill District, which is a minority section of the city, neighborhood in the city. And their job was to train African Americans at that time to be truck drivers. They were going to deliver produce and goods from the city's warehouse district to stores and other retailers out in the city. This doctor goes in there and says, no, that's not what you're going to do. I'm going to teach you how to be paramedics. And so he trained them. He got them ambulances. He started third-party building with them. If you look at some of the pictures, you see these guys working the street wearing all white. You know, the old Dr.
Yeah.
Kildare
Oh, yeah.
stuff
Yep.
like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
I can't keep a white shirt clean past a cup of coffee every morning, let alone
Yeah.
trying to work
Doing
EMS
stuff.
in the street.
Yeah.
So they hit the street. The problem was they were only allowed to respond in the black neighborhoods. Everybody else in the city had the police. The police will pull up in a paddy wagon. 2 cops will get out there, throw you in the back of the paddy wagon. 2 cops sat up front, drove like hell to the hospital. Up until a kid got hit by a car in Squirrel Hill, which is the most affluent neighborhood in the city. And the police roll up and said, no, we're not touching this one. You better get Freedom House out here. Freedom House shows up, treats the kid, transport. Now all the rich people are saying,
We want that Freedom House.
what's up?
We need something
Yeah, we
like
need
that out
this.
here. Yeah.
So the city ends up taking it over. And they approached the fire bureau first and said, hey, we want you to do this. Well, lack of vision back then, in the early 70s, they said, no, we're not doing it. And so they started an EMS bureau. And right now, hindsight being 2020, if you ask any one of our firefighters if they want to do that, they'll say yes. They would jump at the opportunity to absorb that and be part of their role now.
Okay, so it's similar to the way we operate. Well, they'll send a company to all EMS calls and then an ambulance as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how many calls does Pittsburgh run in a year?
A little around 40,000, and about 80% of those are EMS-based calls in some way, form, or fashion.
Gotcha. So about my math here, about 5,000 fires.
Maybe
Not
5,000
fires, but
calls.
calls that aren't.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure,
so
yeah,
We got it.
I'm thinking that I'm saying that probably less than 800 are structural fires that we have to drop a supply line for.
Okay,
Sure.
Definitely less than 1,000 we drop a supply line
that's
for.
pretty good. Now, was there a point? I say you took over in 07, but like the prevention, where that number dropped off any significantly during your time as chief?
We're trying to keep it lower. One of the things that I am taking some pride in is that I am seeing some change in the culture in the Fire Bureau, and I would like to think that I had a part of that.
No, I'm sure you did.
Like
If you've been there
more
17.
More
plus
passion and
years.
responsibility for the prevention stuff. Is that what you're
And
saying?
for taking care of themselves as well.
Okay.
Sure.
I had guys get hurt or hear Mayday calls for buildings, structural fires. They're making interior attacks on these buildings. It's like the 3rd or 4th time the thing's been on fire.
Yeah.
And why are you doing this? You know? And when I first pushed that out, that we're not doing that, and then, well, he won't let us fight fire. He don't understand. This is the way we do it in Pittsburgh. He never fought any fire. I mean, I heard it all.
Oh,
you know?
sure.
Sure.
And I was like, no, you're going to fight it, but you're going to be smart about it, you know. And, well, how's these guys supposed to get their experience if you don't do it in these type buildings? Believe me, there's going to be plenty of experience coming. We're not killing anybody in these buildings. So now it's to a point where I think they get that, you know. One of my first signs that they got it, or it was starting to catch on, I was on the job there maybe 2 years. It was Thanksgiving weekend, and a lady gets off the bus, catty corner from one of my stations, steps off the bus in the middle of a firefight, takes her round to the neck, and goes down. My guys in the station sees this, grab the medical bags and stuff, and right in the middle of this firefight goes out there and saves this lady's life. She eventually died like 2 months later. But the news wanted to interview him. I said, yeah, go ahead, interview him. And they asked, he was a lieutenant, he's a captain now. They asked the lieutenant, says, why would you do that? And he says, we'll risk a lot to save a lot. I says, somebody starting to get it.
Yeah.
Starting to get it. So
So you're saying, you know, these abandoned structures that have been burned up 3-4 times. Let's quit doing stupid things to.
There's not a
go
building.
save
There's
'em?
not ever a building that's worth anybody's life. You know.
no.
You're
So
not-
what
if you're
would
not-
happen
if you don't
is
got lives to save.
we have to take defensive approach. You know, there's nothing. No, well, and the pushback is, how do you know it's empty? I don't. But if it's rolling, there's no way anybody that's not dressed like us
Yeah.
is going to survive. the best you're gonna do is
You gotta
recover.
you gotta get better at doing risk assessments, right?
Yeah, and
Training and
being
all that, right?
Being
Looking
realistic
at
with your
tenability of the
and
structure and
well,
everything else.
you know, you could have gotten that person. And how many fires have firefighters died in, going in looking for somebody, the homeless or somebody like that, and those people had left the building. They're outside across the street.
Well, you look at Worcester, Mass. was probably the most famous
It's
one
funny
that I could
'cause that
think
got
of was
brought
the
up in
cold
class,
storage.
too,
Yeah,
so-
3,000 Degrees. If you've never read that book, that's a fantastic book. And actually, I refer that back to like what it made because you know when I came to the job, I moved from northern Minnesota, moved 600 miles from home to Sioux City, Iowa. But you know, living up north and you know, it was all about East Coast, FDNY, Chicago, like big city firefighter. That was firefighting to me. 3,000 Degrees, East Coast department, but it was a small department. You know, Worcester, Mass, small department. So that book made firefighting, like even the things that you're saying, right? The job is the same. The structure, you know, you're a bigger department, but you're talking about the exact same things that we talk about here all the time. So it doesn't matter if we're smoothbore, East Coast, or salty. We're just we're Midwest salty here, right? But you know, but that Worcester, Mass fire, that you know, they lost 6 guys because you know, like you said, they went in looking for a couple of homeless people that had left a long time ago.
And you know, I talk about some tough, hard leadership.
Yeah.
How hard was it for that chief to stand in the stairwell and say no more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really. We had the KD fire, you know, where we had. I mean, you could have we had some. I guess you could call near misses, but you know, the KD station, the old packing house, but the same thing, insulated walls and stuff. We had to fire there. Some kids got in there in the bowling alley, started firing. There's guys that got lost, disoriented. I think it was Captain Wayne. I think DJ fell through what he thought he was falling through the floor, ended up being the bowling alley and falling down. But they had guys. I mean. Some guys, it could have been bad, you know, same, but again, trying to put the fire out, trying to find it, trying to find people, you know, I mean, I think we do a good job, I think, in Sioux City now of really assessing those things and being like, you know what, we're just, let's, you know, why, you know, because if we know there's nobody in there, things are getting hairy. There's not a building that's worth somebody's life. There really isn't, you know.
I agree.
So
Stuff can be replaced. Right?
Yeah, Chief, you kind of started talking about what are some of the other biggest changes you've seen since you've been chief with Pittsburgh? Are things you're happy to see change?
Training.
Okay.
Pittsburgh was the culture was, hey, we're Pittsburgh, we're the big boys on the block, we do it our way. And I was like, no, we didn't invent fire. New York City did.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we need to train on some of these things. And I started noticing some of the things, and I started punching holes in it. Says, well, the rest of the world is doing this, guys. Maybe you ought to start. So I started noticing my guys coming up saying, hey, I want to take this training. It's outside of our academy. Okay, but I need this day off. Can you give me this day off? Yep. I give you approved leave if you wanted to take some training. You know, I think the only training somebody requested that I denied was somebody wanted to do wildland firefighting because he had a brush fire. And I don't see no return
Just
on
like,
that one, right?
wildland firefighting.
So a lot of my guys are seeing that transitioning from a fire suppression only unit to an all hazards unit. And Pittsburgh is local #1 of the IAFF.
Yeah,
that's right.
And when I first became chief, I met with the president then, and the first thing out of his mouth was, what's the plan? I said, well, the plan is to become an all hazards department. He's like, well, what does that mean? I said, well, what it means is if somebody's beating the crap out of you, you need a cop, you call a cop. I said, but if for everything else from Al-Qaeda setting off from WMD at the point, which is where the confluence of the rivers are, to grandma being locked out of her house, that's ours. We handle all of that. We want all that. And he just grumbled at me. And so I kept preaching it. And then I had one of the council members come up to me and says, Chief, you're an $80 million hole in our budget. Why is that? And I said, well, that's because you're getting a Mercedes-Benz and not a Yugo, right? And this councilman goes, that smells like some home cooking to me. Right, okay. So I meet with the union. I tell them about this encounter. I said, they're going to start coming after our money. We have to start doing something and show that we're worth it. And they said, well, what's that about? I said, well, I got two ideas. I said, one, we become ISO. That way we get a class 1 rating. Nobody can say that it's me home cooking. They don't have a dog in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's them. It's a third party saying that. I said, in order to do that, we have to become a certified service. So they then him and Han over time. The union puts together a Fire Ops 101 program. You guys ever do that?
Yep. Yeah, we've had the Fire Ops 101 a couple times here. Yep.
So we have the news media there, community leaders, political leaders. They're all there. And at the end of the day, after they get their butts kicked, dragging holes and fighting fires and everything, the vice president of the union is addressing them all as they're sitting on the bleachers at the training academy. And he says, ladies and gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire is transitioning to an all-hazards department. I run behind the bleachers where nobody can see me, start doing my happy dance.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
You just said it publicly. So that was on a Saturday. That Monday morning, I'm calling him up. Dude, I heard you say it. He says, I'll be down. We'll talk. He says, so how are we going to do this? And we worked together a plan. And right now, I believe that we were the first metro department to reach back and pull everybody up to firefighter 2 as a minimum.
Wow.
Most departments are waiting to do it by attrition.
Mm-hmm.
We reached back and pulled everybody up, albeit some of them kicking and screaming.
Yeah, I bet.
You know?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on the job for 30 years. I'm not certified yet. Yeah, no, you're not. That kind of thing. I got to show you that I can hit a hydrant. Yes, hit the hydrant. Show them that you can hit the hydrant. That stuff like that. And we are now a ISO class 1.
Very good, Chief.
So yeah, those things I'm proud of.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's kind of.
You're talking that big. That's a lot of buy-in.
Yeah,
That's a lot of trust. That's a lot of.
There, I could not do it without the union. All right, and they have almost all of management's rights tied up in their collective bargaining agreement, and either I get along with them and work with them, or nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people go, he's going to bust the union. Anybody that comes into Pittsburgh thinking that's going to happen, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
So
welcome,
I
number
could
one.
sit there and
Yeah.
fight with them all day, in which case nothing gets done, or we can cooperate and get things done. And that's what
sir.
we've been doing.
And that's
Very
that. See,
good.
and then I tell you, that all hazards, when you use that all hazards term and stuff, and that's where Chief Everett. I mean, that was when I started on the fire department in 2002. We were still Sioux City Fire Department, and when Chief Everett came, he changed the nomenclature, changed it to Sioux City Fire Rescue, and that's because we're an all hazards, and that was his approach too and stuff. Is that all hazards thing? Because I think, a department this size, department's a little bit bigger, but you look at departments, like I think gone are the days of, like I said, firefighters just doing just fire anymore.
Yeah,
And
there's
you
no
have to,
fires.
you have to,
too.
you have to,
That too.
and that's a good thing though,
Yeah,
right? Because
that's it.
that's because of prevention. That's fire inspection stuff. That's I guess another question, because do your guys out in the firehouses, do the crews and stuff do commercial fire inspections, or is that all an inspection bureau?
So I only have one fire inspector for the whole city.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So
We don't have enough time for that, dude.
Yeah, because you guys will make me have to get drunk just to go to sleep. But he's my deputy fire marshal, and some of my buildings, like USX Tower, is 60 some odd stories.
Oh,
There's no
yeah.
way one guy's gonna inspect that.
You'd be there the whole year, right?
Yeah. So I would send out a first alarm assignment with him. They would do the inspection for the processes and all that and what's going on, making sure there's no serious immediate risk. And he would keep the paperwork and make sure fill out the report and stuff.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
but typically, we go out and he will go out, and I'll send help if he needs it for our high risk schools, residential high rises, I concentrate on those for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm working on a self-inspection program for our low-risk occupancies, the dentist's office, Aunt Betty's hat shop,
Sure.
the lawyer's office.
Yeah.
You know, and the way I envision it, they will complete a form that's online. We will spot check them to make sure they're not BSing us, keeping them honest.
Yeah.
And every third year, they will get a live inspection.
Regular inspection.
Sure.
But,
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. That's one of the things that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Gotcha. From all your time in the fire service, let's talk about some memorable calls that stick out. Sometimes you ask this question. I like to think like some serious calls, maybe some funny calls, maybe some that really impacted your career.
Well, I told you about the first one.
Yep.
And that impacted me in so many different ways because being a rookie firefighter and the media got a hold of that and made me seem like I was some kind of hero and I was having a serious guilt problem because I wasn't successful in my rescue. But they made it look like I was just some badass firefighter, young kid best thing that ever happened to firefighting. I wrestled with this. Years later, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress from this particular incident. And I mean a lot of years later. I did seek counseling. I had two counselors, Jack Daniels and Jim Beam.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know?
Jack
And they were good listeners. And they stopped the pain for a little while, you know? And my dad, being the guy that he was, just noticed something about me, and he says, come here, let's go in the basement. We need to talk. So when we were kids, and he'd say, come on, let's go in the basement. We need to talk. That means there's an ass kicking.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So now I'm like, I don't know what you think gonna happen down here, but this is not gonna go well for you.
Not anymore.
You know? And he took me, and he's like, what the hell's going on with you? And I just unloaded about everything. I had relationship problems. Best friend ended up going to jail for murder. Another best friend's father died. It was just all coming up. And he's, son, this is what you're doing isn't the way to do it, you know. And I was mad at the world. And like I said, those father-son conversations. And I got out of that. And all the other things. And I just remember him saying to me, you don't understand how this works? And I said, what are you talking about? He says, look, you're a black man in America. Everything you do, you're going to have to work twice as hard to get half as much. He says, and whatever you get, someone's going to try to destroy it or steal it or devalue it. He says, those are the rules. Now, you either play to win or you roll over and die. And I want to know your answer right now. Okay, let's play to win. He said, all right, now, you don't like kids dying in fires? No. What you going to do about it? And so that's one of the things that got me started going in that direction. Other memorable calls, I told the guys about my snake bite call today.
I hate snakes, man.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either.
Well, you met the people that like them. Different, right?
I'm working in Aliquippa, get toned out in the middle of the night for a lady bitten by a snake. And I'm thinking that the lady found a black snake in her house and tried to grab it, and it bit her on the hand. And we pull up, and it wasn't a house. It was a big house that had been turned into apartments. And she's up on the top apartment on the third floor. And me and my partner lugging up the medical gear all the way up there. And here's this beautiful girl in her early 20s, built like the Rock of Gibraltar. I mean, she was stacked up, right?
Yeah.
Wearing nothing but a T-shirt. I mean, nothing but a T-shirt. And I'm looking at her hands and arms. I'm saying, were you the one bitten by the snake? And she goes, yeah. And she turns around and pulls up her T-shirt. And on her right butt cheek is this scratch, maybe about a half inch, with capillary bleeding. So being the trained medical professional that I am, I was going to hold direct pressure on her for her.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I gave her some gauze a 4x4, and my partners start taking the information for her because, EMS is coming.
Yeah.
We're going to get this information. I'm expecting it to be a cancellation, right? You kidding me?
Yeah.
So just then the boyfriend comes busting out the back room, and he's animated and screaming and going crazy and telling me she has to go to the city. She has to go to the city. And I'm like, she's not going to the city. You got to call a helicopter. I'm not calling a helicopter. It's a scratch.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't understand. And he's
Gotta-
getting even more animated. So I'm like, okay, calm down. Tell me what I don't understand.
What kind of snake was it?
And he goes, you don't understand. This was a king cobra bite.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. I got two questions.
Where's-
First question.
Yeah.
Where's the snake?
Where's the
Yeah,
snake?
where is it? Yeah.
Where's the snake?
Yeah. I'm like,
And if he
I
would have
would've asked
said,
that on my way out
he
the
would say,
door.
I don't know, we were going to have a problem. Right? We were going to be moving some furniture on our way to create an exit.
Yep.
So the snake was in a pen in the back. Then the second question was WTF.
Yeah.
Right? Why would you have one of these things? Where did you get it from? You don't go to PetSmart and get king.
Can I get
No.
a King Cobra,
Yeah.
please?
And how to bite her?
Huh?
I said, and how to get out to bite
so that
her
was
too?
the next thing.
Yeah.
Remember, beautiful girl,
Right.
middle of the night.
Yeah. Wearing just
They
a t-shirt.
decide it's time to clean out the snake cage.
Oh, because that's what you do at that middle of the night.
Hey, I'm just saying with
Yeah.
nothing but
You
the
were going to
facts,
say
sir.
a time, and you were probably going to be right on the money.
Nothing but the facts, sir. That's
Yeah.
all I can tell you, right? So they moved the snake out of its container into another container. This container had like a chicken wire mesh. When she turned around, it struck,
Oh, yeah.
and just one fang scratched her.
Oh,
But she ended up going into respiratory arrest
wow.
because the medics show up. I told them the story. They were like, she's not going to the city. Transfer care, sign here. They did. We're on our way back. I'm listening on the radio. They're calling for a helicopter, so we had to turn around, go set up an LC at the hospital for the helicopter because she went into respiratory arrest. Next day, I'm up there telling him and his snakes got to go because he had 4 snakes. He had the king cobra. He had a copperhead. You can get those in Western PA. You can get a rattlesnake in Western PA. And he had a puff adder. A puff adder is like a fat
Yeah.
rattlesnake without the rattle. And they were in Africa, so I don't know where he got that either. But he was milking them for the venom and selling the venom.
Selling venom.
And probably
build
the biggest call that I've had, I don't know.
Boy, I'm gonna just all hearing that story now. The rest of the night, I'm just gonna be like any little creepy thing on my neck. I'll be thinking of
Sorry
snakes.
about that. I was a captain when US Air 427 crashed.
That's okay. I have that written down here.
That was one of my calls. I was incident command for the Tree of Life shooting in Pittsburgh for the first 4 hours of that incident. That was horrific, and what do I know about taking out bad guys? I'm a Marine. I can shoot, but that was way outside my element. Yeah. So people are like, well, what did you do? I said, well, because my family and I were at the Union Hall because they were doing coats for kids. That's a big thing that our union does, and my family loves participating in that. And I get the phone call from my deputy chief who runs the crew, that runs the line, and says, hey, we got an active shooter. I says, all right. Now, I knew my boss was out of town for the weekend. So I get on the phone. I find somebody to take my family home when they're done. I jump in the buggy. I get on the phone. I call my boss to see if he knows what's going on. He says, yeah, I heard I'm 4 hours out. I said, okay, I'll be there in a minute. So I get there. I jump out of the buggy, and another guy that worked for public safety, he was our tech specialist, comes up. He says, Wendell's out of town. I said, yeah, I just got off the phone with him. Wendell Hesrick, he was the public safety director. He says, Linda's out of town too. That was his deputy. She's supposed to be in town. I said, what do you mean she's out of town? She's 8 hours out. I said, how did she go out of town when Wendell's out of town? Lack of communication, they got mixed up. They didn't know the other one was going out of town. Just then I turn around, and maybe about 15 feet away from me was the mayor, his chief of staff, and his director of operations.
You're the man.
And they're all looking at me with the Baby Yoda look, right? Like, do
What
something.
do we do?
Yeah.
So I look at him. I said, oh, crap. I said, all right. I said, Wendell's on his way. I'm acting public safety director. I'll assume command. And, oh, thank you, Chief. Thank you. So I'm walking down. I get on the radio, right? Dispatch, Official 4 is on scene. Official 4 is now Tree of Life Command. And as I'm walking down to get into the staging area and everything, I hear the mayor calling my name. Hey, Chief. Hey, Chief. I turn around and say, yes, sir. When the police chief get here, you let him take command. Let him take command? I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but I'm holding a grenade with the pin pulled.
Yeah.
When the police chief gets here, he's getting this grenade
Yeah.
down his pants. All right? I'm out of this.
Yeah.
So I'm walking down there. One of the command staff from the police bureau gets upset, says, who do you think you are taking command here? I'm like, you want it? What do you mean? I said, here's the red. You want it. You can have it. I said, but right now, if this thing's go candywampus, I own it. It's on me. If you want it, here it is. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I thought.
So now the second question, trying to be a smart ass, what you want to do? I said, I want you to do your job. You take out the bad guy. You tell me what you need. I'll handle everything from there. But you guys take out bad guys.
Yeah.
You need whatever you need. I'm going to make sure you come to me to get. But my job is to stay out of the way and let you do yours. And okay, yeah. And it worked out fine.
Yeah.
Worked out fine. Last year we had a bridge collapse, and I was in command of that. So I've had my fair share of everything from black swans to gray rhinos to deal with. So
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big incident to get you out of the office and in command.
yes, yeah. I will respond to any fatal fire or anything 3 alarms or higher, but I only take command if it's something that's probably going to be a little touchy, you know, or something, or I won't put my deputy chiefs at risk on that, or my assistant chiefs. I put that on me.
Gotcha. And usually you have, those large, you still have operations. Your battalion chiefs and district chiefs
Right.
running
Yeah,
operations.
they've been fighting fires long before I got there. They'll be
Exactly. Yep.
fighting them long after I'm gone.
Sure.
Do you guys, is it like a box alarm kind of thing, or what do you got? What's your typical? I guess I shouldn't say typical, but what's like a working structure?
So
fire
we have
response?
2 dispatch channels. We have what we call a Fire 1 dispatch, and that is alarm activation, smells and bells. Our medical calls are run off of that. If someone calls 911, says they see smoke, they smell something burning, or they see flames, that's a Fire 2 dispatch. The difference on the run card between the two is a Fire 2 dispatch will get an extra truck. Okay, so typically we'll have 4 engines and 2 trucks running on a structural call. A MAC unit, a safety chief, a battalion chief, and a RIT team.
And a RIT team's one of your engine
engine.
companies?
Is an
Okay.
engine. So we were about 5
about
engines.
5 engines.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
2
for
trucks.
2 trucks, 5 engines, 2 trucks,
And then
plus
so a
support
MAC unit
personnel.
would be your
Like
mobile
you-
air, right?
yeah.
mobile air,
Mobile
plus
air.
plus a battalion
For safety.
and a safety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, when you got the personnel and stuff to be able to throw it at
and
the
so
fire.
we
Do you
try to
guys
base
do,
that off of NFPA 1710 and how they rate hazards.
Yeah.
So they said a light hazard is a single-family dwelling, no more than 2,000 square feet, no basement, no exposures. I don't have any of them.
Yeah.
And we'd be hard pressed to have any of them too.
So
right?
it
yeah.
automatically goes to medium hazard.
Yeah.
Now, on a light hazard, they're saying that you need 16, 17 firefighters on the first alarm.
Wow.
I have a medium hazard.
Yeah.
So I need 27, 28 on that first alarm.
Right.
So I throw an extra truck on there to
Yeah.
give me
So
that.
you guys 4-person engine crews
Yes.
and
4-man minimum staffing.
minimum.
Yeah.
And how about the trucks?
4.
4 minimum.
Yeah.
Do you have any trucks where you could run 5 or 6?
Yeah, there's jump seats and stuff we
yeah.
could, but
yeah,
we
but
don't.
don't.
Yep.
Dedicated rescue companies.
That is under EMS.
Okay.
Yeah. Although we do have rescue equipment, we also contract fire suppression to some small communities around us, and we do provide vehicle rescue to those communities.
How do you break up your specialties? Tech rescue.
So all that falls technically under EMS. However, hazardous materials is a combined service between police, fire, and EMS. I am the hazmat chief for the city, but we have those three organizations. And Swift Water is police, fire. Well, police's Swift Water team is kind of defunct right now, but fire and EMS, we both have Swift Water teams. So
Gotcha.
and we split that up. But technical rescue, like trench rescue, high angle rescue, that kind of stuff, that's all EMS.
So when you say EMS, what does that mean?
They're a separate bureau.
Oh, okay, they run all that.
Yeah, they run all that.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So what's next for the Pittsburgh Fire Department, as well as you being chief?
I think that what's next for the Pittsburgh Fire Department is to become a more diverse fire department. Right now, out of the 700 people, I have 5 women. Only one of those women are African American. That to me is an embarrassment. So we did a barrier study to see why we couldn't get women on the job, and we found 3 main things. One was the residency requirement. Pittsburgh used to have a residency requirement. You had to be a resident of the city for 1 year before you can even apply. That's a non-starter.
That's
right?
nonsense.
Nobody's moving
Right.
to the city.
Right. To make it flipping burgers
Yeah.
before you can even
apply
test
for
for the
the
fire
job.
department.
No, that's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
No.
The second thing we found was the physical agility test was not conducive to women. It was a homemade test. In the test, you would have to do all the events in your SCBA. SCBA is meant to be worn over a turnout coat, right? Now, unless you really got some really weird 50 Shades of Gray action going on, you're not a firefighter. You don't have a SCBA and turnout coat in your closet, right? So we're moving toward the CPAC
There you go.
to take care of that.
Yep.
The last thing was it was determined there's a lack of knowledge out there about how good of a job the Fire Bureau is, and especially amongst women. So we started a girls' camp.
Oh, sure.
This past summer was the second year that we did it. And last year was the first year, and one of the local TV stations, NBC affiliate, covered it. And the next thing I know, I get an email from the crew of Chicago Fire, a little 14-second video saying, "Pittsburgh, you rock with your girls' camp." I showed that to the girls, and they were like, "Wow."
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So, that's where we're at. Now, the thing is, I'm still working off of a current list. None of these things have been implemented to set up for a test yet. And so I don't know if these are going to work or not.
Gotcha.
But that's one of the things I want to say.
How does your testing and hiring process work?
Civil service. And in civil service in Pennsylvania, you don't need any previous experience to get a job. That was the whole purpose of civil service. So you are 18 years or older, high school diploma or GED, no criminal background. No. You take the written exam. You score high enough on the written exam, then you take the physical agility. You score on the physical agility, you pass. Then if you're a veteran, you get 10 points. All right, that puts you on there. And however your final score is, you rate it on the list. If I need 32 firefighters, I usually have recruit classes of 32. And the reason for 32 is because we work in multiples of 4 and 4-man crews. So I always want a crew, a multiple of 4 inside the recruit class. And that way we could break that down, and they work in teams of 4 all the way through their training, and they're used to it doing that. But we'll take about 50 applicants, send them a packet for background checks. You'll do polygraph, and then I will review the files. If there's anything in there that's a red flag, I will disqualify you. And you have the right to appeal my disqualification. to the Civil Service Board where there's a public hearing on it. And I don't care. I have no dog in that fight. If the Civil Service Board says, yep, you get the job, it don't mean nothing to me. I tried. When something goes wrong and you're a problem employee, I don't tell everybody, why did you hire him? Go see the Civil Service Board.
Yeah.
So then we put you on, and once our academy is 32 weeks.
Wow.
You come out of there EMT basic, firefighter 1, firefighter 2, hazmat ops, swift water rescue, rescue corps, vehicle extrication tech. I think that's about it. But anyway, that's what.
That makes
And
sense too.
then after
weeks.
that, you're right on with the crew. And
Yeah,
that's,
you go to a station. I fill in the vacancies we have on crews. It's according to the need of the Bureau. However, the people who score the highest, it's by rank score in the academy who gets first pick.
Oh, they get to pick their spot.
Yeah, I'll
For
show you
whatever's
the
available?
vacancies that's available.
Wow.
Yeah.
You get to pick your spot based on your ranking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's pretty cool. So a guy coming out of the academy then could essentially, can he get to a firehouse and then spend his whole career at the same firehouse?
If you want.
Wow.
If
Cool.
you want. So while they're in that academy, those 32 weeks, they also go through CrossFit, serious CrossFit program. So my recruits come out with graduates. They look like they were machined.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right?
You're cut and ready
Yeah,
to go.
they're ready to go. Here's the problem. They go to a house that's into physical fitness, they stay physically fit.
Mm-hmm.
They go to a house where the culture of that house is, we like the lazy boy,
Yeah.
the recliner, they go off the cliff.
Sure.
Right.
So,
Sure.
and my job is to try to tell them, look, you need to keep up with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't train hard enough for a job that can kill you, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So is there like so it's just as vacancies needed, right? You
Yes.
got so a guy could go to let's say out of Proby school, a guy wants to go to a truck because there's a vacancy there. He gets to
get
go to a truck right
Yep.
away.
Yep.
Man,
Yeah.
it's my dream.
There you go. Yeah.
So
I'm already living my dream.
So you guys, equipment, like, again, people get East Coast, Midwest kind of thing, East Coast stuff. You guys do the leather helmets or no?
yeah, kind of went off.
We
on
do
this.
do the traditional style helmet.
Yeah.
They're MSA helmet.
Yeah.
But well, let me correct myself. I don't know if anybody's out there wearing a leather helmet or not, but that's not what we issue.
Right. That's not what you issue.
And we were talking about that earlier because when I was in Aliquippa, I wore the European style helmet.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
love that thing.
You like the European
I
thing?
did.
Why?
It was comfortable. It was lightweight, protected you from the heat.
Cap's like,
Yeah.
why?
And it was whenever we were doing vehicle extrication, you never saw a helmet sitting on top of the car. You never had to take it off. You know? Did they laugh at us? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The nicest thing anybody said to me called me Trojan Man when I was wearing that helmet. But yeah, but it
Right
worked
on.
just
I know.
fine.
I know. I mean, if you think, I mean, we do
No,
laugh because
don't.
no. I'm just like we do laugh
Cap.
because we're used to the traditional style, whatever. I mean,
Okay.
you can't say that the Europeans have actually been fighting fire for longer than we have, and it's a thing. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they figured something out. I'm just saying
They do a lot of defensive
I'm just
firefighting
saying
over
that
there. You know.
Yeah. they do a
all
lot
the
of, you know-
research and all the tests and comparisons. It is far superior than what we use, and it's just a artifact of our culture that we're just not going to let go of.
no,
No.
And so
because it looks
but-
way cooler when we
but-
got our helmets on.
because MSA now owns that company that makes those things,
Yeah, they do.
and they gave me one, and I was going to wear it out on a car
No, boy.
just to see what happens.
just to throw a hand grenade out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like,
a
hey,
big
what do you
one.
think? This is what we're going to.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, so when I first got on the job in Pittsburgh, I first became chief. I'm on the elevator. These two big guys get on the elevator with me. And I mean, they were large. They were so large that they blocked the light on the elevator. And you ever notice how uncomfortable it is when somebody stands on the elevator and faces you?
Oh yeah.
You know, everybody's supposed to be facing the door. These two guys are
They're
facing
facing
me,
you, yeah.
right? And I'm like, this is not good. I'm not liking this at all. And they look down at me, hey, Chief, yes, How long? He said, we're not wearing that bullshit helmet that you wore. I said, okay.
Okay. Okay.
The elevator door opened and I got off. But yeah, so that's, there might be somebody out there wearing it. But like I said, if New York City starts wearing it, MSA ain't going to be able to make enough of them because everybody's going to want to be like New York City.
Sure.
Yeah.
I had a question back to your staffing. You said 4-man engine companies, 4-man trucks, minimum staffing.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys do with sick leave, vacation?
That's all backfilled with overtime.
Oh, wow.
That's why I'm the lowest paid guy in the city.
Yeah.
That's the overtime is there. I've had a couple of my deputy chiefs make over $300,000.
Good Lord.
Just filling out. So because you don't have like an unattached pool to send like.
No, I don't have
So-
any spare people.
So
Wow,
minimum
man.
staffing. So guy
Wow,
calls in
bro.
sick. So
Really?
because your minimum staffing's 4, you don't run a 3-man for that day.
Nope.
No, it's
Overtime.
required. The
Gotta have
4-man's
somebody in
required.
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
According to 17
So
if that's
I
what you're
wanted
following.
to
And you're 1 on, 3 off.
1 on and 3 off.
Man, I'd be working all kinds of overtime.
Yeah, and
no
most
kidding.
of the old timers
say-
do, but the new
Yeah.
guys they don't
doing
want.
Man,
So you'd be doing.
give me that
I'd
overtime.
be 2 on, 2 off.
Shipper's like, I'm going to Pittsburgh.
I'd
I
be
can like
Pittsburgh,
pick
bro.
a job on a truck
Oh,
right
you'd be
away.
doing 2
work
on,
all
I'd be
the
2
2 on,
overtime.
2 off. Yeah.
Like, let's go to Pittsburgh. Yep.
Yeah,
I got
they,
2 tickets to Pittsburgh.
They
There.
do it. That's what, and they that's what they want to do. I'm like, yeah. So there's 2 types of overtime, right? So by contract, we call this a callback and not a call out. A call out is automatic overtime. A callback by the current contract, whoever is working it gets the master firefighter rate for that shift. So if it's a 24-hour shift, they will make a flat rate of about $800, $900.
Okay.
If they just do half that shift, they get half that.
Okay.
But then that counts towards their hours worked. And as you know, FLSA, we can only work 212 hours in a 28-day cycle. So once they hit that 212, they get FLSA overtime. And FLSA overtime isn't 1.5 of your hourly rate, it's 1.5 of your compensation. So whatever your benefits are included in
Oh,
your
very nice.
vacation is included.
Yeah.
And it's so that's where the money comes in.
Good for
Man.
those guys.
I'd be scraping that up
Yeah,
any
and they
chance
do.
I got. Yeah.
I Bailey would love that.
Hey, man. You can come visit. No.
That would
Yeah.
pay the bills. She could retire.
Yeah.
So living in Pittsburgh, you ever been up to Punxsutawney? You ever
Yep.
gone up? You gone up to see the ground dog, or
No,
just to
have
drive
some other things to do up there.
Yeah.
Some trainings that's up there with IUP camp, Punxsutawney campus was up there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, just kind of my wife and I, we had talked about going out there just as a bucket list thing, just to do it once, just to
Gotta
say
make
like
it
we
early,
went there and
man,
did it.
'cause
Yeah,
that little town.
that's what I said. Like 2:00 in the morning, you gotta get there
Yeah,
and just
and
sit and wait. Yeah.
There's nothing I want to see at 2:00 in the morning. Nothing.
So, you guys have local one in Pittsburgh, right? Was that stolen from Chicago?
There's 3 stories. Okay. I'm going to tell you them in the order of what of course, local one guys in their history says that they were leaders, hard-nosed, hard, tough guys, and they were leaders, and so that's why they're number 1. The other story that I'm more likely to believe is that it came down to a coin toss between Pittsburgh and Chicago, and Pittsburgh won. I'm more likely to
Actually,
believe that one
yeah.
than the first one.
Or the guy from Pittsburgh cut in line like right when everybody's
The-
lining up. Yeah.
Third one that I really think is really most accurate is that it was either a beer drinking contest or a fight.
Yeah. That
one of
makes
them
sense.
2, and that's what
And
happened.
Oh,
that's what.
it's definitely
Yeah,
two
so
or
I'm not buying that we
2
were
or 3
great
stories.
leaders.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe the
Okay.
coin toss.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking more like a beer drinking
Oh,
contest.
yeah, something.
And a fight that came after it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, because you look at us being local 7, you guys local 1. So that means people from our department today, we're charter members of the IFF. So I mean that's kind of that's a pretty anytime you go to training and stuff, and you talk to somebody. Oh, we're the low 390, 416, whatever. Even the 200s, but all of a sudden you drop that like 7.
They're like, where are you from?
Yeah, and they're like,
Yeah,
wow.
even in Aliquippa, we were local 802.
Yeah.
All right, and we were that close to Pittsburgh. So
Yeah.
I tell you.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So you got 35 plus years in the fire service. Does that sound right?
Yes, about 36, 37.
What's your family look like? What are your hobbies? What do you do when you're not chief of Pittsburgh Fire Department?
So I have a wife and a son. My son is 13. He'll be 14 on Valentine's Day. Wow. I started my family late. My wife is 14 years my junior.
You cradle robber?
Yes, I am. I am not going to apologize.
Hey,
Okay, and I definitely outkicked my coverage. I'm not
We
gonna
all did. Hey,
I'm
we
not
all
going to apologize for that either.
Good work.
So, my wife's Greek.
Okay.
Yeah. So you ever see my big fat Greek wedding?
Yep.
All right, that's my wife's family. Right down to the spitting and the curses. Okay. The only difference is my wife's family does not use Windex. They use benzoyl peroxide. But other than that, that's her family. So I love them to death. They adopted me and let me in. It's great. Hobbies, I used to ride a motorcycle. I was a big bike rider, and that was something me and my wife would do. When my son come along, we kind of like, we got some greater responsibilities. And to be quite honest with you, I just got scared of getting hurt and leaving him behind. So I still have the bike, but it is in the garage. It's probably going to take Indiana Jones to dig it out. But the only reason I never get rid of it is because I know I'll never get another one. My hobby now is really reading. I love to read. And I don't read just to say that I got it done. I really take a deep dive into the books that I read. It's almost like I'm having a conversation with the author. So these are mostly nonfiction that I read. And I take these detailed notes on it and everything. And so I was doing that. Then I was surfing YouTube, and I come across this thing about note-taking called the Zettelkasten. And if you get a chance, you can Google that too, where you take these notes on what you read, keep them on these index cards. And so I do that when I'm reading, because before I would keep everything in a notebook. So I got like 99 notebooks, right? And I'm thinking, I did read that.
Yeah.
Which one of these notebooks did I read?
Yeah.
So now this helps me out a little bit better on that. But I enjoy reading. It helps me relax. I like cigars. I like bourbon. Nice. And so every once in a while, me and some of my buddies will get together and smoke some cigars and solve all the world's problems. Yeah. Unfortunately, nobody listens to us, so the problems continue.
That's it. If they only just came to a firehouse,
and we're giving them this for free. It's not like we're charging them.
Exactly.
No,
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
That's it. Like jazz music. I like teaching. I really do. I love teaching.
I was gonna say I could tell that for sure, just from listening to you the last couple of days. But when did you really start instructing or teaching?
So I became a fire instructor for the state of Pennsylvania in 1995.
Wow.
So right now I am instructor emeritus for the state, although I stay active, so I keep my credentials and stuff up. I started teaching college courses 2010 maybe, and then I started teaching at the National Fire Academy in 2014.
Wow.
So.
The Academy keeps you pretty busy.
Yeah, I enjoy going down there too. If you guys get a chance, I cannot stress this enough. You guys got to visit the National Fire Academy.
Yeah.
The instruction is great. The networking is even better. Okay. It's a beautiful campus, historic campus. During the Battle of Gettysburg, soldiers were treated there for their injuries and stuff. It's an old Catholic university. It's about 12 miles south of Gettysburg. So you want to run up there for a little bit. And do the historical walk through the battlefield. But the campus is just fantastic, and I love going down there. It's quiet. I get recharged, and if my guys back at the office know I'm going down there, they're like, "Look, don't come back here with none of those big ideas making us have to go to work. Okay, just keep that stuff down there." So,
Okay.
Awesome. So you see, very passionate about leadership. Any advice you'd give to people wanting to be firefighters or new firefighters?
yes, learn all that you can. Okay, because there's one thing that nobody can take away from you. There's two things actually: your education and your experience. They cannot take that from you. You should be able to keep an open mind and a growth mindset. It is my firm belief that the sentence that's killing the American Fire Service is, but we've always done it that way. Or we've never done it this way before. And finally, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why are we doing this? It ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, the bucket brigade wasn't broke either, but we found a better way, right? And so you have to have a growth mindset. And I think that's the main thing that will lead to your success. My family used to tell me, my family members used to tell us where preparation meets opportunity, great things can happen. Well, opportunity is on a rail. It's fixed. Like me, if I want to catch a passenger train right now, I can't go outside and stand in the parking lot waiting on one to come.
Right.
It's not going to come here. I got to get to the train station. Preparation gets you to the train station. So when the train comes, opportunity comes, you can get on it and great things will happen.
Very good.
I like that.
Very good.
What about any advice to your company officers, captains, lieutenants?
Well, I tell all my company officers, and they are the most valuable asset that we have in the fire service. They are the bridge between the fire department and the public. The public rates its fire department based on the service that it gets, the quality of the service it gets. Now, I'm the face of the Fire Bureau in Pittsburgh. Something goes wrong, something's jacked up, something's bad, I'm on the news. And people are, I saw you on the news. Yeah, it wasn't for nothing good. Right? But the company officer, you're the one that these people interact with on the first day, worst day, last day of their life. They dial 911, you are cordially invited to come and intervene in their circumstances. Those people want 4 Rhodes Scholars getting off that rig. That's right every single time. That's what they expect. And I tell everybody, look, you got to strive for perfection. And since we're not perfect, we're human, we'll never hit perfection, but we will hit excellence if we strive for perfection. And excellence will be good enough. So company officers, hey, I need you guys to step up. I need you guys to be out there. I need you guys to be compassionate, respectful, professional, understanding that these people are not having a bad day, so they might start shouting and yelling at you. Don't take it personally. Do the best you can. I had a chance to have dinner many years ago when I first became chief of Pittsburgh with Gordon Graham. And, he was funny as I don't know what, right? So it was a great dinner. And he says, well, before you became the chief, what did you do? I said, I was the assistant chief. What was your job? I said, I was in charge of community risk reduction. And he goes, you want to be able to reduce risk to your organization? I said, yeah. He says, you need 3 things. I said, what's that? He said, first, you have to do what you say you're going to do. How many departments out there call themselves Acme Fire and Rescue, but they don't do rescue?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, you got to do what you say you're going to do. Second, you have to be very, very good at it. You have to do it well. And I think we all strive for that, right? He said, third, you have to leave these people some wow. And I said, what's that? He says, leave them a reason to say, wow. And he used an example of a fire department in California that responded to a motor vehicle accident with entrapment. An elderly lady was coming back from groceries, got in an accident, got busted up real bad. They had to transport her to the hospital. Her groceries were wasted. When she got released to the hospital a couple weeks or weeks later, and the fire department knew that she was getting released, they all went grocery shopping and then replaced her groceries, was waiting for her at home when she came home from the hospital with all these groceries. And the whole community was like, wow.
Wow. Yeah.
You know? So my guys do leave some wow. I get people coming up to me saying, you know, my son has special needs, my kid is, and your guys treat him so good. No, they found one kid, autistic kid. He was selling apple butter. You know, had a little booth out selling apple butter. My guys saw him. They went there, bought him out.
Wow.
No, one of my stations, they know kids don't have bicycles, so they go and make these. I call them Frankenstein bikes, but they're safe and everything. And kid don't have a bike here. Here's a bike for you. Seeing some wow, you know. So I'm pretty proud of the fact the Coats for Kids thing. Some of these kids never have their own coat. It's either a hand-me-down or something like that, and now they get a brand new coat, you know. And so my guys do some great stuff. They do some great things.
I love to hear it. Chief, you've been just so much knowledge here, so thank you for your time, first of all. Thanks for coming to Sioux City. Won't hold you much longer. You got to go eat.
Yeah,
we
you
got
guys got some
dinner.
steaks waiting on
we
us
got
over there,
steaks.
fellas.
So I know they're very particular, and they're cook them perfect for
timely
you, so.
down at.
And I know they're going to get real mad if we hold you any longer.
Yeah,
so.
because I'm going to blame it on you. I don't have a rock.
I know, and I can't.
Exactly.
I got no excuse for that because I'm usually the one going, "Hey,
Exactly. Dinner bells.
it's 6:03. Dinner's at 6. What are we doing?"
All right. So you guys got anything?
No, I just, this has been, fantastic. I mean, Chief, I can't tell you, you know, how much we appreciate you, you know, coming and sitting and spending and taking the time with us. Like, again, for us to, this kind of a basically a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity for us to have somebody like you on the show. I think, you know, you've got the stories, everything, but it's still, again, the things that you're saying, you know, are the things that we talk about here. And I mean, to bring, you know, East Coast, Midwest, it doesn't matter. You know, like we're all brothers. We're all in the fire service together. We're all doing the same job. We all, like you said, we all strive. Yeah, we're all striving for the same thing, you know, and when you're talking about, you know, basically excellence being your responsibility and stuff is things that we talk about even at eights, that it's up around the station stuff, but it's to hear somebody else from outside the department still saying the same things, you know, that it brings that culture of the fire service and just, it makes it feel like a whole thing, no matter where you are, you know. And but yeah, I appreciate your time. I mean, it was fantastic, you know.
No, thank you very much.
We could go a couple more hours.
You have been
know?
more than hospitable for me here. And I want to tell everybody out there, thank you for the wake-up call when I'm staying at the Warrior, because every time you go by the Warrior, the air horns.
They're giving the air horn to them.
Good
no
deal.
way
On
our
there's
way
no
to the
traffic out here in Sioux City at 0400 in the morning.
No,
So I guess they wanted to know that showing me some love, and I appreciate it.
I love it.
You know, but I'm like my cousin Benny. I sleep very well. Kind of stuff. So
I love it. All right.
But it's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Ryan, go ahead and drop tones.